Marcus Wellington III adjusted his Italian silk tie as he stepped out of his black Bentley. The valet rushed forward to take his keys, bowing slightly as he always did when the tech billionaire visited this upscale restaurant. At 42 years old, Marcus had built a technology empire worth over $8 billion. His face regularly appeared on magazine covers, and business leaders around the world sought his advice. Yet today, he felt more nervous than he had during his biggest corporate merger. His daughter Emma sat quietly in the back seat, her small hands clutching a worn stuffed elephant. At 7 years old, Emma had been diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder 2 years ago. Since then, Marcus had struggled to connect with his daughter. Every specialist, every therapy session, every expensive treatment had failed to bridge the gap between them. Emma rarely spoke, avoided eye contact, and seemed to live in a world that Marcus couldn't enter. "Come on, sweetheart," Marcus said gently, opening Emma's door. "Let's go have lunch." Emma didn't respond. She simply stared at her elephant, rocking slightly back and forth. Marcus felt the familiar knot of frustration and sadness in his chest. He had conquered boardrooms filled with aggressive competitors, but his own daughter remained a mystery to him. The restaurant, Le Bernardin, was one of the most exclusive establishments in the city. Marcus had chosen it carefully, hoping the quiet atmosphere might be better for Emma than their usual crowded spots. The maitre d' recognized him immediately and led them to a private corner table away from other diners. Emma shuffled along behind her father, her eyes fixed on the floor. She wore her favorite blue dress with small white flowers, the only outfit she would agree to wear to restaurants. Marcus had learned not to fight these small battles anymore. The bigger war of connecting with his daughter took all his energy. As they settled into their seats, Marcus noticed their waitress approaching. She was a young African-American woman, probably in her mid-20s, with kind eyes and a warm smile. Her name tag read Keisha. Something about her demeanor immediately put Marcus at ease, though he couldn't quite explain why. "Good afternoon," Keisha said warmly, her voice soft and melodic. "Welcome to Le Bernardin. I'm Keisha, and I'll be taking care of you today." Marcus began to respond, but something unexpected happened. Emma looked up. For the first time in months, his daughter made eye contact with another person. Marcus held his breath, not wanting to break whatever spell was happening. Keisha noticed Emma's gaze and crouched down to the little girl's level. "Hello there, beautiful. That's a lovely elephant you have. What's his name?" Most people spoke to Emma in overly loud, artificial voices that made her retreat further into herself. But Keisha's tone was natural and respectful, as if she were talking to any other person. Emma's lips moved slightly. Marcus leaned forward, straining to hear. Then, in a whisper so soft it was barely audible, Emma said, "Mr. Peanuts." Marcus's heart nearly stopped. Emma hadn't spoken to a stranger in over 6 months. Keisha acted as if this was the most normal thing in the world. "Mr. Peanuts is a perfect name," Keisha said seriously. "He looks very wise. I bet he takes good care of you." Emma nodded, still holding eye contact with Keisha. Marcus watched in amazement as his daughter's shoulders relaxed for the first time since they'd arrived. "Would you and Mr. Peanuts like to see our special menu today?" Keisha asked. "We have some very interesting options that I think you might enjoy." As Keisha presented the menu options, Marcus found himself studying her more closely. There was something different about how she interacted with Emma. She didn't treat his daughter like a fragile object or speak in the patronizing tone that most adults used with autistic children. Instead, she spoke to Emma as an equal, respecting her space while remaining genuinely interested in what she had to say. "I think Mr. Peanuts would like the chicken fingers," Emma said, her voice slightly stronger now. "Excellent choice," Keisha replied. "Mr. Peanuts has very good taste." "And what would you like?" "The same as Mr. Peanuts," Emma said, a tiny smile appearing on her face. Marcus couldn't remember the last time he'd seen Emma smile at a restaurant. Usually, these outings ended with tears, tantrums, and an early departure. He quickly ordered for himself, not wanting to interrupt the magical connection forming between Keisha and his daughter. As Keisha walked away to place their order, Emma continued to watch her. "Daddy," she said quietly, "she's nice." "Yes, she is," Marcus agreed, his throat tight with emotion. Over the next hour, something remarkable happened. Emma not only ate her entire meal, but also engaged in small conversations with Keisha whenever she checked on their table. She asked about Keisha's favorite color, shared facts about elephants, and even giggled when Keisha told her a gentle joke about
This
why
is
elephants
absolutely
never forget
delightful.
anything.
You've
Marcus
outdone
watched this
yourselves.
interaction with a mixture of joy and confusion. In 2 years of expensive therapy sessions, no professional had managed to connect with Emma the way this waitress had in a single afternoon. He found himself wondering about Keisha's background, her training, her own story. When Keisha brought the check, Emma surprised everyone by speaking up. "Will you be here next week?" she asked. "I work here Tuesday through Saturday," Keisha replied. "So yes, I'll be here. Can we come back, Daddy?" Emma asked, turning to Marcus with more animation than he'd seen from her in months. "Of course, sweetheart," Marcus said immediately. "We can come back anytime you want." As they prepared to leave, Emma did something that shocked Marcus to his core. She stood up and walked over to Keisha, who was cleaning a nearby table. "Thank you for being nice to Mr. Peanuts and me," Emma said clearly. Keisha knelt down again and smiled. "Thank you for letting me meet Mr. Peanuts. You take good care of him, okay?" Emma nodded seriously and returned to her father's side. As they walked toward the exit, Marcus felt compelled to speak with Keisha privately. "Excuse me," he said, approaching her station. "I wanted to thank you. My daughter has autism, and she rarely connects with new people the way she did with you today. You have a gift." Keisha's expression grew thoughtful. "My younger brother has autism," she said simply. "I grew up learning how to communicate with him. Every person with autism is different, but I found that treating them with the same respect and patience you'd give anyone else usually works best." Marcus felt a wave of respect for this young woman. "You mentioned your brother. Is he doing well?" A shadow crossed Keisha's face. "He's doing okay. He's 16 now, very smart, but school has been challenging. We're looking into some special programs, but—" She paused, seeming to realize she was sharing personal information with a customer. "I'm sorry," she said quickly. "You don't need to hear about our problems." "Please," Marcus said gently. "I'd like to hear about it. As a parent of a child with autism, I'm always interested in learning about different experiences." Keisha glanced around the restaurant, making sure she wasn't neglecting other customers. "My brother Jamal is incredibly gifted with computers and math, but the regular high school environment is overwhelming for him. There's a specialized program at the state university that would be perfect, but the tuition is beyond what our family can manage. My mom works 2 jobs, and I work here plus a weekend job, but it's still not enough." Marcus listened intently, his mind already working. "What's your brother's name again?" "Jamal. Jamal Washington. And the program he's interested in?" "It's called the Adaptive Learning Technology Program. It's specifically designed for students with autism who show exceptional ability in STEM fields. They provide individualized support while challenging the students academically." Jamal took their entrance exam and scored in the top 5%, but without financial aid. Keisha's voice trailed off. Marcus nodded thoughtfully. "Well, I hope things work out for Jamal. And thank you again for being so wonderful with Emma. We'll definitely be back." As Marcus and Emma walked to their car, his mind was racing. He had spent millions of dollars on therapists, specialists, and treatments for Emma, but a young waitress had accomplished more in one afternoon than all of them combined. There was something profound happening here, something that went beyond mere chance. "Daddy," Emma said as he buckled her into her car seat. "Can we come see Keisha tomorrow?" "The restaurant is closed tomorrow, sweetheart, but we can go back on Tuesday." "Okay," Emma said contentedly, hugging Mr. Peanuts close to her chest. As they drove home, Marcus found himself thinking not just about Emma's breakthrough, but about Keisha's story. Here was a young woman working multiple jobs to support her family and help her autistic brother pursue his dreams. She had natural gifts that professional therapists spent years trying to develop, yet she was serving tables while struggling to make ends meet. That evening, after Emma was safely tucked into bed, Marcus sat in his home office overlooking the city skyline. His assistant had already researched the adaptive learning technology program that Keisha had mentioned. The program was indeed prestigious and expensive, with a waiting list of qualified applicants who couldn't afford the tuition. Marcus also had his team look into Keisha's background. Keisha Washington, age 24, had graduated from community college with honors while working part-time to help support her family. She had no criminal record, excellent employment references, and, according to her instructors, had shown exceptional aptitude for child development and special education coursework. Her brother Jamal had indeed scored exceptionally well on the program's entrance examination. His academic records showed a brilliant mind trapped in an educational system that couldn't accommodate his unique needs. Marcus recognized the frustration that Jamal must be feeling, the same frustration he saw in Emma's eyes when the world moved too fast or too loud around her. Marcus picked up his phone and called his personal attorney. "Richard, I need you to look into something for me. There's a young man named Jamal Washington who's been accepted into the Adaptive Learning Technology program at the State University. I want to know what it would take to establish a full scholarship for him, anonymously." "How anonymous are we talking about?" Richard asked. "Completely anonymous. I don't want the family to know where the money is coming from. Can that be arranged?" "Certainly. It might take a few days to set up the proper legal structure, but it's definitely doable." "What's the motivation behind this, if you don't mind me asking?" Marcus looked at a framed photo of Emma on his desk. In the picture, she was younger, before the autism diagnosis, before the struggles began. She was laughing at something just outside the camera's view, her eyes bright with joy. "Let's just say someone showed my daughter kindness today, and I'd like to return the favor." After hanging up with Richard, Marcus made another call to Dr. Sarah Chun, Emma's primary therapist. Despite the late hour, she answered on the second ring. "Dr. Chun, it's Marcus Wellington. I'm sorry to call so late, but I wanted to share something remarkable that happened today." He described the afternoon's events, Emma's interaction with Keisha, and the breakthrough that had occurred. Dr. Chun listened intently, asking detailed questions about Keisha's approach and Emma's responses. "What you're describing is quite remarkable," Dr. Chun said when Marcus finished. "The fact that Emma initiated and maintained social interaction with a complete stranger is a significant milestone. Can you tell me more about this waitress's background?" Marcus shared what he knew about Keisha's experience with her autistic brother. Dr. Chun was quiet for a moment, processing the information. "Marcus, I think you may have stumbled upon something very important. Natural caregivers, people who have grown up in environments where they've had to develop intuitive understanding of autism, sometimes have insights that even trained professionals lack. They operate on instinct rather than theory, and that authenticity often resonates with autistic individuals." "What are you suggesting?" Marcus asked. "I'm wondering if it might be beneficial for Emma to spend more time with this young woman, not in a formal therapeutic setting, but in natural social situations. Sometimes the best progress happens outside of clinical environments." Marcus felt a spark of an idea forming, but he pushed it aside for now. "We're planning to return to the restaurant on Tuesday. I'll observe their interaction more closely and see how Emma responds." "That's a good plan. And Marcus, don't overthink this. Sometimes the most powerful healing happens in the simplest moments." After ending the call, Marcus sat back in his leather chair and stared out at the glittering city lights. In the business world, he was known for his ability to spot potential, to see opportunities that others missed. The most successful investments weren't always the most obvious ones. Sometimes they were the unexpected discoveries that transformed entire industries. Looking at today's events through that lens, Marcus saw something that excited him on multiple levels. Keisha wasn't just a gifted individual who could help Emma. She was someone with natural talents that could potentially help many children like his daughter. The question was how to nurture and develop those gifts in a way that would benefit everyone involved. Marcus opened his laptop and began researching special education programs, autism therapy methodologies, and scholarship opportunities. If he was going to help Jamal pursue his dreams, he wanted to understand the full scope of possibilities available to him. As he worked, Marcus found himself thinking about the look in Emma's eyes when she spoke to Keisha. It was the same look she got when she was completely absorbed in one of her special interests, like her collection of stuffed animals or her fascination with marine biology. It was a look of genuine engagement and connection, something he had feared she might never experience with another person. The more Marcus researched, the more convinced he became that today's encounter was more than just a pleasant coincidence. It was an opportunity to create something meaningful, not just for Emma and Jamal, but potentially for other families struggling with similar challenges. His phone buzzed with a text message from his ex-wife, Emma's mother. "How did lunch go today? Emma seemed different when I picked her up. Calmer somehow." Marcus smiled as he typed his response. "Something wonderful happened today. I'll call you tomorrow and explain everything." Tuesday couldn't come fast enough for Emma. She woke up early, already dressed in her blue dress with white flowers, clutching Mr. Peanuts, and asking repeatedly if it was time to go see Keisha. Marcus had never seen his daughter so excited about a social outing, and it filled him with a mixture of joy and nervous anticipation. By the time they arrived at Le Bernardin, Emma was practically bouncing in her car seat. She had spent the morning telling Mr. Peanuts about all the things she wanted to share with Keisha, including a new fact she had learned about elephants and a drawing she had made of her stuffed animal. The maitre d' recognized them immediately and led them to the same corner table. Emma's eyes swept the restaurant, searching for Keisha. When she spotted the familiar figure across the dining room, Emma's face lit up with pure happiness. "There she is, Daddy. There's Keisha." Marcus watched as Keisha noticed them and made her way over, her warm smile growing brighter as she approached. He couldn't help but notice how other staff members seemed drawn to Keisha's positive energy and how she moved through the restaurant with genuine care for every table she served. "Well, look who's back," Keisha said warmly, crouching down to Emma's level as she had before. "Hello, Emma. And hello to you too, Mr. Peanuts. Did you miss us?" Emma nodded enthusiastically. "I made you a picture," she announced, pulling a carefully folded piece of paper from her small purse. "It's Mr. Peanuts, but I gave him a friend because elephants don't like to be alone." Keisha accepted the drawing with the same reverence she might show a priceless artwork. The crayon drawing showed two elephants standing side by side under a bright yellow sun, with "For Keisha" written in Emma's careful handwriting across the top. "This is absolutely beautiful," Keisha said sincerely. "Look how happy they look together. I'm going to keep this somewhere very special." "Thank you, Emma." Marcus watched the exchange with growing amazement. In just 1 week, Emma had not only remembered Keisha's name but had also thought about her enough to create a gift. These were social connections his daughter had never made before. As they ordered lunch, Marcus found himself observing Keisha more closely. She moved with efficiency and grace, but there was something deeper in how she interacted with people. When an elderly gentleman at another table seemed confused by the menu, she took extra time to explain each dish patiently. When a stressed businessman was rude about his order being delayed, she responded with calm professionalism that seemed to defuse his anger. Most remarkably, she treated every customer with the same respect and attention, whether they were clearly wealthy regulars or first-time visitors who seemed nervous about the upscale atmosphere. There was an authenticity about her that Marcus rarely encountered in his business world, where people often adjusted their behavior based on his net worth. During their meal, Emma continued to surprise Marcus with her openness. She told Keisha about her favorite TV show about ocean animals, shared her concerns about starting second grade in the fall, and even asked Keisha personal questions about her family. "Do you have any pets?" Emma asked as Keisha refilled their water glasses. "I don't have any pets right now," Keisha replied. "But my brother Jamal has a fish tank with some very colorful fish. He named them all after different types of computers." "That's smart," Emma said seriously. "Fish are peaceful. They don't make loud noises like dogs." Marcus noted how Keisha instinctively understood that Emma's comment about loud noises wasn't just a random observation, but likely related to her sensory sensitivities. Rather than dismissing it, she nodded in understanding. "That's very true. Jamal likes peaceful things too. He says watching the fish helps him think better." "I think better when it's quiet too," Emma agreed. "Loud places make my brain feel fuzzy." "That makes perfect sense," Keisha said. "Everyone's brain works differently, and there's nothing wrong with needing quiet to think clearly." Marcus felt his throat tighten with emotion. In 2 simple sentences, Keisha had validated Emma's experience in a way that countless therapy sessions had failed to achieve. She hadn't tried to fix Emma or suggest coping strategies. She had simply acknowledged that Emma's needs were valid and normal. As lunch continued, Marcus made a decision that would change multiple lives forever. He excused himself to make a phone call, stepping outside where Emma wouldn't overhear. "Richard," he said when his attorney answered, I need you to accelerate the scholarship arrangement for Jamal Washington. Can it be in place by the end of the week? Certainly, but that's very fast. Is there a particular reason for the urgency? Marcus watched through the restaurant window as Emma and Keisha continued their animated conversation. I'm seeing something remarkable here, and I want to make sure we don't lose the opportunity to nurture it. The scholarship can definitely be arranged that quickly. Anything else? Yes. I want you to research the best special education and autism therapy training programs in the country. I may have found someone with natural gifts in this area, and I think it would be beneficial to provide her with formal training opportunities. I assume this is related to the scholarship recipient's family. His sister. She's a remarkable young woman with intuitive understanding of autism that I've never seen before, even in trained professionals. I think with the right education and support, she could make a significant impact in this field. After ending the call, Marcus returned to the table to find Emma showing Keisha how to fold a napkin into the shape of an elephant. Keisha was following along intently, asking questions and praising Emma's teaching skills. You're a very good teacher, Keisha told Emma. Have you ever thought about teaching other people things you know? Emma considered this seriously. I don't think other kids would want to learn about elephants and fish. I bet you'd be surprised, Keisha said gently. There are lots of kids who love learning about animals, and you know so many interesting facts. Marcus was struck by how Keisha naturally encouraged Emma's confidence while respecting her perspective. She wasn't pushing Emma to be more social, but rather helping her see that her interests and knowledge had value that others might appreciate. As they finished their meal, Marcus made another decision. Emma, sweetheart, would you like to invite Keisha to visit our house sometime? We have a big backyard, and I think she might enjoy seeing your butterfly garden. Emma's eyes widened with excitement. Really? Keisha could come see my garden. I would love that, Keisha said, though Marcus noticed a slight hesitation in her voice. But I work most days, so it might have to be on a Sunday or Monday when the restaurant is closed. This Sunday, Emma asked eagerly. Please say yes, please. Keisha looked at Marcus, clearly trying to gauge whether this invitation was genuine or simply a polite gesture. Are you sure? I don't want to intrude on your family time. You wouldn't be intruding, Marcus said sincerely. Emma rarely invites people to the house. This would mean a great deal to her. Then, I'd be honored to visit, Keisha said, smiling at Emma. I'll bring something special for Mr. Peanuts too. As they prepared to leave, Marcus lingered at the table while Emma went to the restroom. Keisha, I wanted to ask you something. Have you ever considered working in special education or autism therapy? Keisha looked surprised. I've thought about it, but I never went to college for that kind of thing. I took some child development classes in community college, but formal therapy requires advanced degrees that I can't afford. What if cost wasn't a factor? What if there were scholarships or programs available? I'd be very interested, Keisha said without hesitation. Working with kids like Emma and my brother Jamal feels like what I'm meant to do. But reality is reality, you know? I have to work to help support my family. Marcus nodded thoughtfully. I understand. But sometimes reality can change in unexpected ways. I hope you'll keep that dream alive. When Emma returned, she hugged Keisha goodbye, another unprecedented display of physical affection. I'll show you all my butterflies on Sunday, she promised. I can't wait, Keisha replied. Thank you for being such a good friend, Emma. Driving home, Marcus felt a sense of purpose unlike anything he'd experienced in his business career. That evening, he called Dr. Chen again to discuss his observations and plans. What you're describing sounds like a natural therapeutic relationship developing, Dr. Chen said after hearing about the day's events. Emma is demonstrating social reciprocity, emotional expression, and genuine attachment behaviors that we've been working toward for months. I'm thinking about offering to fund Keisha's education in special education or autism therapy, Marcus said. What do you think about that idea? It's an interesting proposition. Natural talent combined with formal training can be incredibly powerful. But I'd recommend proceeding carefully. You don't want to overwhelm her or create pressure that might change the natural dynamic she has with Emma. What would you suggest? Start slowly. Maybe invite her to observe some of Emma's therapy sessions, if she's interested. See how she responds to formal learning about autism. If she shows aptitude and genuine interest, then consider larger educational opportunities. Marcus appreciated Dr. Chen's measured approach, but, privately, he had already seen enough to know that Keisha's gifts were real and significant. The challenge would be nurturing those gifts without disrupting the authentic connection she had with Emma. That night, Marcus worked late into the evening, researching educational programs, scholarship opportunities, and career paths in autism therapy and special education. He also had his team begin discreet background checks to ensure that his instincts about Keisha's character were correct. By Thursday afternoon, Marcus had a comprehensive plan forming. The scholarship for Jamal would be announced Friday, giving the family financial relief and demonstrating that good things could happen unexpectedly. Keisha's visit on Sunday would give him a chance to observe her interactions with Emma in a home setting and to begin discussing educational opportunities more seriously. Marcus also reached out to several universities with prestigious special education programs, inquiring about accelerated degree options for working adults with demonstrable experience. He was particularly interested in programs that combined traditional coursework with hands-on experience, allowing students to work while they learned. On Friday morning, Marcus received a call from Richard confirming that the scholarship had been established and the Washington family would be notified that afternoon. The scholarship covered not only Jamal's tuition but also provided a living stipend, ensuring he could focus on his studies without financial stress. The family will be notified by the university's financial aid office, Richard reported. As requested, there's no indication of the source of the funding. They'll simply be told that an anonymous donor established a scholarship for exceptional students with autism. Marcus felt a deep satisfaction knowing that Jamal's dreams were about to become reality. But, more importantly, he was removing a source of stress from Keisha's life, which would allow her to focus on her own potential without the burden of worrying about her brother's future. That afternoon, Marcus couldn't resist driving by Loop Bernardine around the time he expected the university to call the Washington family. He didn't go inside, but he found himself hoping that Keisha would get the news while she was at work, surrounded by people who could share in her family's joy. His phone rang as he sat in his car outside the restaurant. It was Dr. Chun. "Marcus, I've been thinking about our conversation, and I wanted to share something with you. There's a summer intensive program at Columbia University specifically designed for people who work with autistic individuals but don't have formal training. It's a 6-week program that covers everything from basic autism science to advanced therapeutic techniques." "That sounds perfect. Is it expensive?" "Very. But it's also incredibly comprehensive. Graduates often go on to pursue advanced degrees or start their own practices. I could make some calls if you think this young woman might be interested." "Please do," Marcus said immediately. "I have a feeling she's going to be very interested in expanding her education." As Marcus drove home, he thought about the ripple effects that were beginning to spread from one simple lunch at a restaurant. Jamal would soon have opportunities he had never dreamed possible. Keisha would be presented with educational options that could transform her career, and Emma was learning that the world could be a welcoming place filled with people who understood and accepted her. That evening, Marcus sat in his study, looking at the drawing Emma had made for Keisha. 2 elephants standing together under a bright sun, friends who had found each other. It was a perfect metaphor for what was happening in their lives. Sunday morning arrived with Emma bouncing out of bed before sunrise, already planning every detail of Keisha's visit. She had spent Saturday afternoon reorganizing her butterfly garden, making signs to identify each type of flower, and preparing a special tour route that would showcase all her favorite spots. Marcus watched his daughter's excitement with a mixture of joy and nervousness. He had big plans for today's conversation with Keisha, but he didn't want to rush things or make her feel pressured. The most important thing was preserving the natural relationship she had developed with Emma. At exactly 2 o'clock, Marcus opened the front door to find Keisha standing on his doorstep, holding a small wrapped gift and looking slightly overwhelmed by the size of his estate. The Wellington mansion sat on 5 acres of meticulously landscaped grounds, complete with a tennis court, swimming pool, and the butterfly garden that Emma had designed with the help of a professional horticulturist. "This is beautiful," Keisha said, gazing at the sweeping driveway lined with flowering trees. "Emma is so lucky to have all this space to explore." "She doesn't use most of it," Marcus admitted. "She prefers quiet corners where she can observe things without being disturbed. But The butterfly garden has become her special place. Emma appeared in the doorway, practically vibrating with excitement. Keisha, come see my garden. I have 12 different types of flowers that butterflies love. And yesterday, I saw a monarch butterfly laying eggs on the milkweed. Keisha handed Emma the wrapped gift. This is for Mr. Peanuts, but you can open it for him. Inside the package was a small, hand-knitted sweater in soft blue yarn. It's for when the weather gets cold, Keisha explained. Elephants in the wild don't usually need sweaters, but stuffed elephants might appreciate the extra warmth. Emma carefully dressed Mr. Peanuts in his new sweater, her face glowing with happiness. He looks so handsome. Thank you, Keisha. Come on, let me show you everything. For the next hour, Marcus followed at a distance as Emma gave Keisha the most comprehensive garden tour she had ever provided. She explained the life cycle of butterflies, identified different types of bees, and shared detailed observations about which flowers attracted which insects. Keisha listened with genuine interest, asking thoughtful questions that encouraged Emma to share even more knowledge. You know so much about nature, Keisha said as they sat on a bench surrounded by lavender plants. Have you ever thought about becoming a scientist when you grow up? Maybe, Emma said thoughtfully. But I think I'd like to study animals that people don't understand very well. Like how elephants talk to each other with sounds people can't hear, or how some fish can change colors to match their feelings. Those are fascinating subjects, Keisha agreed. Scientists who study animal behavior are called ethologists. It sounds like you'd make an excellent ethologist. Marcus was amazed by how naturally Keisha introduced new vocabulary and concepts without making Emma feel overwhelmed or inadequate. She had an intuitive understanding of how to challenge Emma intellectually while respecting her emotional needs. As the afternoon progressed, Marcus found the perfect opportunity to share Jamal's news when Emma asked about Keisha's family. Actually, my brother Jamal got some wonderful news this week, Keisha said, her face lighting up with pride. He received a full scholarship to attend a special program at the university that's perfect for his interests in computer programming. Emma clapped her hands together. That's wonderful. Is he excited? He's over the moon, Keisha laughed. He spent the entire weekend researching all the courses he'll be able to take and the professors he'll work with. It's like all his dreams came true at once. Marcus watched Emma's reaction to this news. Rather than feeling jealous or left out, she seemed genuinely happy for Jamal's success. Will he learn how to make computer games? She asked. Probably, Keisha said. He's always been interested in creating programs that help people with autism navigate the world more easily. Maybe someday he'll design something that helps kids like you and him. I'd like to meet Jamal sometime, Emma said. We could talk about animals and computers. Marcus saw his opening. Actually, Emma, I was thinking that maybe Keisha's family might like to come visit us again soon. We could have a barbecue in the backyard, and you could show Jamal your tablet games about marine biology. Really? Both Emma and Keisha said simultaneously, then laughed at their matched response. I think that would be wonderful, Marcus continued. But I also wanted to talk to Keisha about something else. Would it be okay if Emma played in the garden for a few minutes while we talk? Emma nodded agreeably and wandered off to check on a patch of flowers where she had seen butterfly eggs earlier in the week. Marcus and Keisha settled on the patio, where they could keep an eye on Emma while having a private conversation. Keisha, Marcus began carefully. I hope you don't mind me asking, but have you ever considered pursuing formal education and working with children who have autism? Keisha looked surprised but interested. I've thought about it, but like I mentioned before, advanced degrees are expensive, and I need to work to help support my family. What if I told you that there were programs designed for working adults, programs that would allow you to study while maintaining an income? I'd say that sounds too good to be true, Keisha replied honestly. But I'd also say I'd be very interested in hearing more. Marcus pulled out his tablet and showed her information about the Columbia University's summer intensive program Dr. Chun had recommended. This is a 6-week program that covers everything from autism science to therapeutic techniques. It's designed for people who work with autistic individuals but want to formalize their training. Keisha studied the screen intently. This looks incredible, but I'm sure it's very expensive. What if cost wasn't an issue? Marcus asked gently. Keisha looked at him with a mixture of hope and confusion. I don't understand. Marcus took a deep breath. I've built my career on recognizing exceptional talent and investing in people who have the potential to make a real difference. In the past week, I've watched you connect with my daughter in ways that trained professionals have failed to achieve. You have natural gifts that could help not just Emma, but potentially hundreds of children with autism. Are you offering to pay for the program? Keisha asked directly. I'm offering to invest in your future, Marcus replied. Not as charity, but as a partnership. I believe that with proper training, you could become one of the leading autism specialists in the field. In return for funding your education, I'd like you to consider working with Emma on a regular basis, maybe a few hours each week, helping her develop social skills in natural settings. Keisha was quiet for a long moment, processing this unexpected proposition. This is very generous, but I have to ask why you're doing this. You barely know me. Marcus gestured toward Emma, who was crouched next to a flower bed, completely absorbed in watching a caterpillar make its way across a leaf. My daughter has autism, and for 2 years, I've watched her struggle to connect with the world around her. I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on therapists and specialists, and while they've helped in some ways, none of them have achieved what you did in a single afternoon. He paused, gathering his thoughts. You didn't just teach Emma coping strategies or social skills. You made her feel understood and accepted exactly as she is. That's not something you can learn from a textbook. It's a gift you already possess. I want to help you develop that gift so you can share it with more children. And you really think I could be successful in this field? I think you could revolutionize this field, Marcus said with conviction. But, more importantly, I think it's what you're meant to do. The question is whether you're willing to take the risk. Keisha looked out at Emma, who had discovered a butterfly and was sitting perfectly still, watching it feed on a flower. Can I think about it? This is a big decision, and I want to talk to my family. Of course, Marcus said. Take all the time you need. But I want you to know that this offer isn't going away. Whether you decide to pursue formal training now or in the future, I'm committed to supporting your development in this field. Emma chose that moment to run over to them, her face bright with excitement. Keisha, come see. There's a swallowtail butterfly on the butterfly bush, and she's laying eggs. The three of them spent the next few minutes watching the butterfly as it carefully selected leaves and deposited tiny round eggs. Emma provided a running commentary on butterfly reproduction cycles, while Keisha asked thoughtful questions that encouraged her to share even more detailed knowledge. You know, Keisha said as they watched, there are programs where kids like you can share their knowledge about nature with other children. Have you ever been to a nature center or science museum? A few times, Emma said. But they're usually too loud and crowded. What if there were special programs designed for kids who prefer quieter environments? Keisha suggested. Places where you could teach other children about butterflies and marine life without all the noise and crowds. Emma's eyes widened with interest. That would be wonderful. Do places like that really exist? They're starting to, Keisha said, glancing at Marcus. I think in the future, there will be many more programs designed specifically for kids with autism who want to share their special interests with others. Marcus felt a surge of excitement as he realized what Keisha was describing. These weren't just abstract ideas. They were concrete programs that could be developed and implemented with the right funding and expertise. He could envision a network of autism-friendly educational programs, staffed by people like Keisha who understood how to create environments where autistic children could thrive and contribute. As the afternoon wound down, Marcus felt more convinced than ever that this was the beginning of something significant. When Keisha's mother arrived to pick her up, she accepted Marcus's invitation to tour the garden and meet Emma. Mrs. Washington was a dignified woman in her 50s, clearly protective of her daughter, but curious about the family that had shown such kindness to Keisha and provided such opportunities for Jamal. Emma immediately took to her, offering to show her the butterfly eggs they had discovered earlier. Your daughter is remarkable, Mrs. Washington told Marcus as they watched Emma and Keisha together. Keisha has been talking all week about how intelligent and sweet Emma is. It's wonderful to see children form such natural friendships across different backgrounds. Your daughter has a gift, Marcus replied. She's helped Emma in ways that no one else has been able to. I hope you'll consider allowing me to help develop that gift through educational opportunities. Keisha mentioned you had offered to fund some kind of training program. That's incredibly generous, but I have to wonder what you expect in return. Marcus appreciated her directness. I expect your daughter to become the best autism specialist she can be, and to help as many children as possible along the way. That's all. No contracts, no obligations beyond pursuing excellence in a field where she clearly has natural talent. As the Washington family prepared to leave, Emma surprised everyone by asking when she would see Keisha again. How about next Saturday? Keisha suggested. Maybe we could visit that nature center we talked about, if they have any special programs for kids who like quieter environments. I'll research it this week, Marcus promised. And, Keisha, please think about everything we discussed today. Whatever you decide, know that you have my complete support. That evening, as Marcus tucked Emma into bed, she was still talking about the day's adventures. Daddy, do you think Keisha will really become a teacher for kids like me? She asked. I think Keisha can become anything she sets her mind to, Marcus replied. What do you think about that? I think it would be wonderful, Emma said seriously. She understands things about me that other people don't understand. If she became a teacher, lots of kids would feel understood too. That's exactly right, sweetheart. Sometimes the most important teachers are the ones who learn how to understand people first, rather than just learning facts from books. Can we help her learn both? Emma asked. Marcus smiled at his daughter's generous spirit. Yes, Emma. I think we can help her learn both. As he turned off the lights in Emma's room, Marcus felt a deep sense of satisfaction. In less than 2 weeks, his life had been transformed by a chance encounter with a young waitress who possessed extraordinary gifts for connecting with autistic children. Now, he had the opportunity to nurture those gifts while providing his daughter with the understanding and acceptance she had always deserved. Over the following week, Marcus worked with his team to develop a comprehensive plan for supporting Keisha's education and career development. The Columbia program was just the beginning. He envisioned funding her undergraduate completion, graduate studies, and, eventually, the establishment of her own practice or educational program. On Friday, Keisha called to accept his offer. I talked to my family, she said, and we all agree that this is an incredible opportunity. But, more than that, working with kids like Emma and Jamal feels like my calling. If you're willing to invest in my education, I'm ready to commit everything I have to becoming the best autism specialist I can be. Then, let's make it happen, Marcus said with satisfaction. Welcome to the beginning of your new career, Keisha. I have a feeling you're going to change a lot of lives. That Saturday, Marcus, Emma, and Keisha visited a nature center that had recently started offering sensory-friendly programs for children with autism. Emma thrived in the quieter environment, sharing her knowledge about butterflies with other children who were genuinely interested in learning from her. As Marcus watched his daughter teach a small group of children about monarch migration patterns, he realized that this was exactly what Keisha had envisioned, a place where autistic children could share their special interests and expertise without being overwhelmed by sensory challenges. This is just the beginning, Keisha said softly, standing beside him. Imagine what we could create if we really put our minds to it. Marcus smiled, watching Emma's confidence grow as she answered questions from curious children and their parents. I think, he said, we're about to find out exactly what's possible when natural talent meets proper support and unlimited resources. The future stretched ahead of them, bright with possibility and full of potential to help countless children and families navigate the challenges and celebrate the gifts that come with autism. It had all started with a simple act of kindness in a restaurant, proving that sometimes the most extraordinary journeys begin with the most ordinary moments. His phone buzzed with a text message from an unknown number. Mr. Wellington, this is Keisha Washington. I hope it's okay that I got your number from the restaurant's customer file. I wanted to let you know that my family received incredible news today, and I'm too excited to wait until Sunday to share it with Emma. My brother Jamal got a full scholarship to his dream program. Thank you for being part of such a wonderful week. I can't wait to see Emma's butterfly garden and hear what she thinks about Jamal's good news. Marcus smiled as he typed his response. That's wonderful news about Jamal. Emma will be thrilled to hear it. See you Sunday at 2 p.m. And Keisha, thank you for everything you've done for Emma. You've given her something priceless. As he prepared for bed, Marcus reflected on how quickly his life had changed direction. A week ago, he had been a successful but lonely billionaire, struggling to connect with his autistic daughter and feeling helpless despite all his resources. Tonight, he was part of a growing network of relationships that felt more meaningful than any business deal he had ever made. Sunday's visit would mark the beginning of something even more significant. Marcus was certain of it. As he prepared for bed, Marcus checked on Emma one more time. She was sleeping peacefully, Mr. Peanuts tucked safely under her arm. For the first time in months, she looked completely relaxed, without the tension that usually marked her sleep. "Sweet dreams, sweetheart," Marcus whispered. "Daddy's going to make sure you get to see Keisha again very soon." Walking back to his own room, Marcus felt a sense of purpose that had been missing from his life for too long. Building his company had been about success and achievement, but this was about something far more important. This was about opening doors for his daughter and others like her, about recognizing and nurturing gifts wherever they appeared, regardless of economic circumstances or social status. Tomorrow, he would begin putting plans into motion. But tonight, he would simply savor the memory of his daughter's smile and the knowledge that sometimes the most important discoveries happened in the most unexpected places. The city lights twinkled below as Marcus finally turned off his office light and headed to bed, his mind already racing with possibilities for what Tuesday's restaurant visit might bring.